196 North Millage Street. The address of a tree. This is where the tree that owns itself lives. Up a cobblestone road, sticking out into the street surrounded by cars and houses, sits the white oak tree that was granted ownership of itself in 1832. Since then, the original tree has died and been replaced by what is known as the son of the tree that owns itself, but this tree has the same rights as the original. A man named Colonel William Henry Jackson is responsible for this tree's strange story. Here's what we know about Colonel Jackson. The legend says that he was a professor at the University of Georgia, had lived across the street from the tree as a child, and his childhood memories of the tree encouraged him to preserve it. In reality, not much is known about Jackson except that he grew up in Jackson County, not even close to the tree. Even the military background responsible for his title of colonel is completely unknown. As you can tell, there is a lot of uncertainty around the origins of this tree, but strangely no one seems to question it. Why did Jackson actually care about the tree, and why did he want to preserve it? Why did the people in the community and the state actually recognize his action when it has no real legal standing? These are questions we may never know the answer to, but despite all the foggy history and reasoning, here the tree continues to stand, concrete proof that someone cared about it. August 12, 1890. The tree was written about in the Athens Weekly Banner, referred to as the tree that owns itself. The publication of this article is what made the tree well known to locals and encouraged them to go out of their way to protect it. To really understand the story of this tree, we need to think about the time that this tree gained notoriety and what was happening. 1890 in Georgia was Jim Crow America. White people in Georgia had fought in the Civil War against the rights of African Americans, and most harbored hatred and racism for the rest of their lives. Segregation became the compromise for them, which only promoted violence against African Americans. Lynching and murder of African Americans were frequent, and Oconee County was even ranked 4th for number of lynchings in the nation. To me, this tree surrounded by beautiful southern homes is a symbol of terrible irony. People in the Athens community were passionate about offering their time to care for this tree, which they really didn't know much about, while at the same time fighting against the rights of actual people through support of Jim Crow laws. Tourists who come to see this tree typically only view it as a funny landmark. On Yelp, Courtney J. from Canton calls the tree the epitome of Athens and its quirkiness, and Licka K. from Atlanta describes it as a really wholesome story. While the tree does fit in with the eccentric Athens community on the surface, looking deeper into the story tells us more about the history of Athens and of the oppression that took place here. After learning about the tree that owns itself and what was going on around it in history, it makes it difficult to consider this an altogether wholesome story.